You're watching and listening to the latest Red and Blue review show. For all your Crystal Palace related chat, please like and subscribe across all the usual social media platforms, especially our YouTube channel. This really helps us out. Now, let's get on with the show.
Cool, that is a real bit of funky music that I opened the show with now, isn't it? I must have been awake for a couple of weeks. I missed that. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott. For those of you who don't know me, I am your host this evening. And joining me shortly are, well, we have a couple of late substitutions, at least one late substitution. Paul Gear, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. Not too bad. I'm looking forward to the show tonight. We've got lots to discuss.
Good. And Tim Richards, good evening, mate. Long time no see. I hear from you on socials all the time. I don't get to see you very often. I think that's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say, Captain Tanga, you should be happy with that. But good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone.
So the manager decided not to go with Walton and Kamada the other day, and I think he messed it up. We're going to talk about that. He played a substitution. We were going to go with Holyoke and Cannon, but instead we went with Ian Noble instead. Good evening, Ian.
Yeah, I'm fresh off the bench tonight, guys. I'm supposed to be having a week off, Nick, and because of a few late injuries and unavailability, here I am on the Red and Blue Review. So very good evening to you, Nick. Good evening to everybody.
Ian, thank you for stepping in at the last minute. I do appreciate it. I know you've had a busy weekend. You were telling me on Friday you got a lot on this weekend. So your company is very welcome. So I'm looking at the guys in the chat. Evening, Joan. Good evening, Tom. William, I can see you out there. Phillips, I can see you as well. Good evening to each and every one of you, wherever you're watching in the world live. Johnny Knox, I hope you're feeling better because I'm aware that you've been poorly, my man. And if you are listening back on the podcast post-show, you are very welcome. I'll try not to do anything visual on screen that you won't understand what that clothing is going on. So we are coming back. What are we on? We have with no wins in 4 games, gentlemen. How are we feeling at the moment? Are we all feeling a little bit like I am? Maybe a little deflated. We've had such a fantastic 12 to 18 months. We're not used to this, are we, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I have my picture with the Community Shield and the FA Cup on Saturday, so that keeps my glow going for the next few months anyway. But yeah, I'm one of those. I try not to get too high when it's going well, like we have at the start of the season, and I try not to get too low when we're going. We're not playing that badly still. I think we've got issues with our chance taking clearly. But yeah, it's perspective, isn't it? We're playing a lot of games, so I think the team will suffer, and I think that's the problem Glasner's got to wrestle with, and we've got a lot of games coming up, so it'd be interesting to see how he does it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another guy out there, Damon. I saw you very briefly the other day at one of the games. I forget which game it was. I hope you and your family are well, mate, and welcome to the Red and Blue Review. Tim, how are you feeling at the moment? Are you feeling a little bit flat? Has the edge gone off?
No, not really. If you look at the games, yeah, I mean, the European game we'll talk about shortly. I mean, that's disappointing, but it is a learning curve. We were creating chances. Arsenal, again, we'll talk about that a bit later. Best team in the country at the moment, and I think there were still positives to take from yesterday. Good.
Ian, how are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, actually, still. I think Paul very sensibly said that, it's important you try not to get too high when things are going well and not too down when things are going badly. But, look, we've lost 3 games out of 4. The Everton game, we talked about that in the past. The run came to an end. We should have won that game. The chances we took to win that game weren't taken. Then we were punished at the death. And then we drew with a very good Bournemouth side. Came from behind. So that felt like a win, even though it wasn't. And we'll talk about the 2 1-0 defeats later in the show, obviously. But, it's no disgrace at all. We were talking pre-show to go away at Arsenal, who have conceded just 3 goals all season. They're top of the table for a reason. They're a very good footballing side, difficult to break down. So, no disgrace losing over there yesterday, albeit it was disappointing to walk away with nothing.
And, of course, it's Sodloa who scored the winning goal. I wanted to talk to you boys about the fact that the manager got Manager of the Month award, and he also got, I believe he got an award in Austria himself, Coach of the Year award. Has that put a little bit of a hoodoo on things? Any of you particularly superstitious? Is there any coincidence in it? Ian?
No, not at all. And I meant to mention it in last week's show, so thanks for doing so this week, Nick. All credit to Oliver Glasner, and he thoroughly deserved both those awards, but, I don't believe in any of that rubbish. He's coach of the year in Austria, and they normally give it to, a skiing coach or somebody like that, don't they, But he got it for football. And September Manager of the Month is no mean feat in the Premier League, is it? It's a fantastic achievement. And typical Oliver Glasner, very humbly, when asked about it, he said, "Oh, it's not really me; it's the players, that deserve all the credit." So he is an absolute top bloke, of course.
Well, I agree with you, and I'm glad you mentioned that last bit because I was just about to come on to that, saying he was so humble in his acceptance speech. That's just him all over. He's a thoroughly nice bloke, and we are lucky to have him. But on that said, Paul, did you see his I don't know, veiled, savage swipe at the board yesterday after the post-match?
I think everyone knows his views on the board and the transfers and the backing he gets, and I think now is the time he's going to bring that out, isn't it? If contract talks are going on, he's going to be trying to make sure he can get as much out of it as he can, which any manager should do. So, he obviously wants to make sure that they know if they want to keep him, they need to shape up and do what he wants in January, certainly.
Tim, what's the word on the street inside the FAB committee? Are you involved in it? I know you're dealing in only the upper echelons of Sellers Park now. How are the negotiations going, mate?
They're progressing. We're hoping to get some stuff over the line with. It's kind of a bit of a delay with Sharon Lacey coming back. That's kind of, I guess, changed things slightly. So we put some requests in, shall I say, that hopefully we should hear back in our meeting next month. I
was talking about Gladys' contract negotiations.
Oh, right. Oh, well, Oliver did tell me
Answer
the other day.
Answer the question.
Well, I did say when I spoke to him the other day at the academy, just pull your ass out and get the contract signed. But he kind of laughed and walked away, so I don't know. But no, we don't get to hear anything like that.
I'm surprised he didn't check under his shoe that his steps on something. Yeah, Ian, carry on, mate.
Yeah, it has been spoken about, hasn't it? Because Parrish did an interview, didn't he, the other week? Can't remember who with now, but he was asked about it, and he said, "Yeah, we've started talking to Oliver Glasner about extending his contract." And I think all the time he's enjoying it, and things are going well. We've got a better chance of retaining him. But also, there's a push and a pull factor all the time. If we could be pushing him away because we're not giving him what he wants in terms of the players and the budget and all the rest of it. But if he's pulled from us, if one of the top clubs come in for him and say, "Look, Oliver, come and manage Real Madrid or come and manage, Barcelona," then he's going to be tempted, isn't he? Because they're two of the biggest clubs in the world in Europe. So there's a push and a pull factor. So all the time we've got him, we count our lucky stars. We've got him as our manager. Great. And he is the most important contract. Of all the playing staff we've got, we've lost Zaha, Elise, Eze. We've all gone now, all the top players we've had. But the most important contract is getting Oliver Glasner nailed down.
1,000,000%. Absolutely right. I couldn't have voiced that any better myself. I just want to pick up on one of the comments that went through on the chat a minute ago, nice from Teresa. She said, "I don't get this negativity from the Palace fan base. This is what we are, with being supporting Crystal Palace." Well, you're not getting negativity from us, okay? What you're getting from us is a reality check. We've had a great run, a superb run. Not being negative, I think we're all genuinely disappointed on the way things have gone over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and let's just hope it's not the sign of things to come. We were talking about being 4th or 5th in the Premier League 1 week, and 2 weeks later, we're sitting back where we belong in mid-table. I still think it's a very good start to the season. Very good start to the season. So, right, we're going to be talking about Larnaca, all things Larnaca, and we're going to be talking about all things Arsenal during the next hour. And I want to kick off, if I may, with a bit of praise under very challenging conditions to the HF. They put on a display. Okay, leave that on screen just for a minute, Nigel, would you please? Because you got to realise I'm in the bottom left-hand corner under one of those little red bits of paper, and under challenging conditions. What I mean by that is, unfortunately, it got damaged in the wind. I don't know if any of you actually physically saw it get damaged. Ian, from where you were standing, could you actually see the damage?
Yeah. It was the game, wasn't it? It was the word game that was. I think there was a split between the G and the A, and there was some bloke, and the wind was getting up, and he was really struggling to hold it together. That bit, is that what you meant? That bit, or do you mean the TV screen itself?
No, the TV screen itself, I understand, got damaged by one of the metal wires.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
It was being suspended from the top from the roof of the Homesdale, and it got damaged. And in a very quick rush, for safety reasons, they had to drop it down very, very quickly.
Yeah, we all got our pictures though with it, which is great, and it's such a great play on words. Whoever thought of that? It's very, very clever. Because we got demoted out of the Europa League into the UEFA Conference, right? It's UEFA's little game, isn't it? And to have that play on words with the dads, I think it's fantastic. And the Germany link, brilliant.
Okay, Paul, before I come to you, Nigel, would you pop the picture up again, if you would? I do think, however, I understand the concepts of what they did, but the three white things to me look. Can I just say phallic without being rude?
Yeah, okay. But it's just the Dad's Army thing, isn't it? It's the same difference.
That's exactly. I think it is. But there's what arrows. Okay, that doesn't look like an arrow. Am I the only one to have noticed that?
Yeah, you're the only one.
So there's a shock. Okay, Paul, you wanted to make a point.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was an excellent display and it was great, but I do wonder what you guys think. But I know after the game and when we lost, Oliver Glasner did come out and said that he wanted the whole environment to stay a bit more humble. And I'm wondering whether we're getting a bit sort of carried away, a bit arrogant with this. We're getting a bit of favourites, all this, and we're already putting banners up about getting to the final and stuff. And I was wondering whether do you think he was mentioning that as part of his thinking about everyone just sort of stepping back a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think you raise a good point, and I think the manager, if that's what he's alluding to, we've got to get there first. And what that was a massive reality check. Tim, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was a good display, very clever. But yeah, I agree that's not the Palace way. That's the Arsenal or United way. It's don't jump before or don't run before you can walk. Let's get past the first stage first before we start talking about actually winning the thing.
Before we start talking about the game itself, Ian, what does that result do to our prospects of qualifying for the knockout stage?
I don't think it does anything to it, really. We've got to win games to qualify. What it does mean, of course, we've got 4 left. We can get maximum now 15 points. And we'll be going for that maximum, won't we, from the games that are left. And I think 15 points will be enough to finish in the top 8. And that means we go straight into the knockout. So, I don't think if you're going to lose a game, lose that one. That's what I would say. For me, it doesn't matter so much. Obviously, we wanted to win it, but I am not worried about qualification for the knockout stages of the UEFA Conference League. I think we still will do so with a degree of comfort. There you go.
Thank you, mate. And Paul, does that put a greater emphasis on the Strasbourg game?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we've got 6 games to play, all of varying standard teams. Really, we should have won that game the other day, and it's quite damaging in some ways that we haven't. Obviously, excuse me, the good part is we do have plenty of games to rectify it. So we have got full, but they're not walked. As I say, Strasbourg, I think they got a good result against PSG the other day. They're no mugs. And yeah, 2 away games. And as I say, if you can't beat Larnaca, you got to sort of think. So all it does to me is it puts more pressure on the rest of the games. Clearly, now I said in the show last week I would have probably gone full strength. We'll talk about the team in a minute. I would have gone full strength, and that's my philosophy: win the game, bring them. You're going to rest players, bring them off after. Same with this. If we can win the first 4 games, we can rest players for the last 2. But we're now making it that we have to play more games with more minutes and stuff. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it's not a showstopper, is it?
Well, let's move on to the Larnaca game, because when you do the lineup, Paul, I would like you, if you'd be so kind, to throw back to me at one point, because I do have a beef with it. Okay, over to you. You carry on with the Larnaca game. All right, well, there it is. I'll just start it off then. So in goal, you got Henderson, Munoz, Canvot, and I hold him 0 responsibility for the goal. Yet the kid made a mistake. He's only a youngster. Give him a break. Lacroix, Guéhi, Mitchell, and here we go. Lerma, Hughes, Sarr, Pino, and Mateta. Now, my beef with that gentleman, okay, and we're all very quick to praise Oliver Glasner and what he's done for the club. And there is no argument with that. I've got no beef with that at all. But I do have a beef with that starting midfield. I understand that he has to give Lerma and Hughes minutes. I get it. Okay, he's got to involve them because it's a squad game. I absolutely get it. Okay, well, Paul sort of alluded to it a minute ago. You would have started Kamada alongside one of them in the first half, and then Walton alongside the other one in the second half to give them the game. We were toothless in the heart of the midfield for the majority of the game, and I'm open to criticism. I'm open to but my feeling is he picked the wrong team. He picked the wrong team. Paul, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, just on that one, as I said, I would have gone full strength. But having said that, he's said recently about Lerma and Hughes should be getting minutes, and they deserve to be getting minutes. Okay, that was okay. The end result, you might say that, but that team with them in it should have been 3-0, 4-0 up before they even got near our goal. So I think that team should have been good enough to beat them. But anyway, let's discuss the game and we can see where they might have fallen down on it. But yeah, so as expected. I mean, they were, as we said last week, Larnaca, when we reviewed them, they're a pot 5 team, so they're not too hot on the. Shouldn't really have given us too many troubles. But we started the game, and again we were offensive, as we should have been, going straight at them, going lots of series of early corners, and really the only team going in their half. They weren't really getting near our half, to be honest. The first stoppage, though, the first sort of thing, in the 12th minute, there was a long stoppage when one of their players went down and had to get stretchered off. So that took a bit of the impetus out of our early good start, which is always seems to happen, unfortunately. You build up a bit of momentum and then the game stops for 5 minutes, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, he seemed to be okay. He was wheeled down the touchline a bit later on, so he was okay, thankfully for him. But yeah, we were in more long throws and corners, throwing the ball into the box. And the first big chance came probably in, I think it was 20th minute. Lerma, one of his throws into the box, sort of bobbled about through towards the back post where came through to Sarr. And he sort of stabbed the ball goalwards, and it's hit a defender, hit a goalkeeper, cleared out. It's gone back out. We've managed to work it back to Munoz on the right hand side, who's got the ball across, and the keeper's come out, and instead of punching it or catching it, he's sort of parried it up into the air, and it's bounced down to Mateta about 8 yards out, and the ball's high, but he's hit the ball into the ground, it's bounced up, hit the bar. And really, he probably should have scored that. And there's been a lot of misses this year by Mateta. I know he's scored a lot of goals, and we'll come back to his sort of proficiency at the moment. He's missing a bit, but I mean, I thought he should have scored. What about you guys?
Yeah, can I come in just on the? Yeah, I think he should have scored as well. He hit it into the ground, didn't he? I think, and yeah, just one of those unfortunate ones. A lot of people disagreeing with you in the chat, Nick. They're saying that. Didn't see too many complaints about the lineup before kickoff. Lerma and Hughes are 100% capable of beating a team 5th in the Cypriot League. So, I think that's what I've said pre-show. I think, those players need some minutes and they should have been good enough to beat this side. The fact is, we all know the outcome. But, we've got, and I would have even made 1 or 2 more changes probably, Sarah played a lot of minutes internationally, so, why not give Devene some time or something like that? Devene had no time on the pitch at all. We knew that Sosa couldn't play because he was banned. Why not let Devene play left back? He plays left back for Northern Ireland, for goodness sake. So, maybe he should have even made more changes, but, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Can I bring Tim in here? Tim, what did you think of the starting line? Was there anything you would have done any different?
I was a bit concerned about the midfield from a creative point of view, because I don't think either of them really, you would say, are overly creative players. But I would say that Hughes did a really good job at pushing forward. He was trying to go forward whenever he could. And I understand why you say what you say, Nick. But at the end of the day, we had, I think it was 14 attempts from inside the penalty box. So I don't think you can blame the midfield for that at all. I think it's purely down to the finishing. There were chances, but again, it was our finishing that let us down.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely get that. And by the way, I do get the comment that has just gone through in the chat with reference to the time wasting, but the goalkeeper in particular, I'm sure Paul's going to allude to it during his as he carries on. But at the end of the day, if the roles were reversed, we would have done exactly the same.
Exactly.
I don't get too hung up over time wasting and the crowd counting the time down and all the rest of it. You're just adding to it. There's the players are standing on the pitch laughing at us for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and all that sort of cobblers. They're just laughing at us. What's the point? If we had the opportunity to do that yesterday at the Emirates, we would have done that ourselves. So just get on with it, Paul.
Yeah, we will come to that in a bit, but yeah, carrying on with the first half. So yeah, we should have scored there. Didn't. Again, play was all in the Larnaca half. Got to the 35th minute, and Camvot moved forward with the ball, and he tried to keep. I think he tried to take the keeper by surprise. He took the whole ground by surprise, I think. But he hit a shot from 35 yards, which was very, very close. It was only missed by a matter of inches, really. That would have been quite a strike from the young lad. But yeah, it didn't quite go in the right side of the post for us again. And again, half is playing out. We get to the 45th minute. Mateta and Pino combine nicely on the right with a nice little 1-2, and Mateta cuts inside from the edge of the box and he curls one. And we were right behind this, and it sort of, you could see it curling, just didn't curl enough. It was heading for the top corner, but just unfortunately, like most of the shots, didn't quite make it. And then there's one more chance in stoppage time of the first half when another cross came in and Mateta heads it past the far post. So he had a fair share of chances as he's been having recently in the first half, but we go in goalless again. Not too many worries, I don't think, because as I say, we're having the whole of the game. All the chances are at their end, and really, the second half starts, and we're all sort of thinking it's a matter of when rather than if we take the lead. And sure enough, straight back out, straight at them, corner. Will Hughes plays a short one to Pino, and he puts it back out to him. And he swings the ball across, and Lacroix gets not quite a free header. He gets to the ball pretty well, but there was a guy near him putting a bit of pressure on, but he probably again still should have hit the target. He heads it wide, and again just more wasteful in attack really. And I think when you miss all these chances, it's obviously it's two-sided, isn't it? It's great that you're creating the chances, but I will always find it does give the opposition, it gives them a leg up, it gives them confidence, because they're like, well, we should be dead and buried, we're still in this game. So I've said it before, it's about getting that second goal or getting the first goal. You do that, you take all the pressure off yourself. If we'd scored in that first half, Larnaca wouldn't be able to sit back. They wouldn't be able to time waste. They would they'd have to come out, and then it gives you more space to then kill the game off. So these first goals are crucial. So these chances come back to haunt us, and that's what happened here. So 5 minutes after that chance, Henderson again are playing out from the back and all this sort of stuff is fine when it works, but he plays it to Camvo, who's under a little bit of pressure. Sometimes an attacker closing him down, and he plays it sort of backwards towards Munoz was quite deep for some reason. He sort of put it between Gahey and Munoz, and their bloke nipped in between it. Fed it to Bajic, who was steaming up on the left, and to be fair to him, he's hit a superb drive from the edge of the box into the top corner, giving Dean no chance. But as you said, Nick, it's a learning experience for Canva. Yes, obviously it's a mistake. It's not great, but I'd rather he do it in these games. But what do you think of the goal?
Yeah, I don't think you can dig the lad out at all. You know, as you said, I think he was under pressure when he played the pass, and that's what he's been asked to do. He's been asked to play out from the back, and you could see what he was trying to do. He just got it horribly wrong. But there are times, I think, against teams like this who do play the low block, they defend deep, play the ball long, try and get it over the top of their final defenders. Dean could have gone long with that kick instead of trying to play a short ball to Camvo, which caused the problem. So, yeah, it was a mistake, but it was one mistake. And if you look at the stats, which I'm sure we'll come to at the end of the game, I mean, goodness me, they're embarrassing. How much?
Ian, you mentioned the words low block, and you've been asked. You are keeping your eye on the chat, aren't you?
Yeah, I am keeping my eye on the chat. Therese wants to know what the low block is, doesn't she?
Could you explain the words low block, please?
Yeah, low block. It's when you defend deep, isn't it? So teams defend really deep, so it's hard to break them down, and they've got lots of people between the ball and their goal. So almost in the final third. That's my understanding of it anyway. And then you've got the mid block and the high block. But it's a phrase that's bandied about, and it's good to ask the question if you're not sure. 65 minutes gone. Newcastle just gone 2-0 up against Palace at the BBS Stadium. So they're not doing very well. Carry on it, Paul.
Yeah, so the goal sort of sparked us into life a bit again. I think it obviously suddenly reminded us that actually we did need to go and score goals and win the game. So we got straight back on the attack, spell of corners. And then Glasner did something which I don't recall him doing too often, but he brought Eddie on Nketiah, and he took off Canvo. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it at the time, and he's confirmed it since it was nothing to do with his mistake. But we didn't need 3 centre backs on the pitch, and I can't remember very often that we've gone back to a back 4. Short of the last 5 minutes of trying to chase a game, but to change that, and it was sensible to me. As I say, we didn't need that many defenders, as was proved by the rest of the game. But yeah, so he went to a back 4, and Nketiah came on. And yeah, he then was involved in the next big chance when Hughes fed him down the left-hand side, and he cuts it back towards 8 yards out, and Mateta hits it first time, and yeah, it was our one shot of the night on target, I believe, and it was a good save, good reflex reaction save from the goalkeeper. As I say, we'll come on to it in a bit, but yeah, so that was a good attack, and again, we're starting to think, well, the equaliser is only a matter of time. It's got to keep coming. But Oliver then decides to make some more subs, and this is where, as I say, we're bringing players on that whether they should have started, whether they shouldn't, it's another bit. But it's never you're always stressing a player more when you bring them on and you're chasing a game. But Walton's come on, Kamada's come on, and he's taken off Lerma and Pino. Obviously, as I said, we didn't want to use them, but yeah, they're on because we're chasing this goal. Then Kamada nearly scored straight from a corner. I think the wind might have taken it a little bit. It was a cold, windy night, and he swung it in, and the keeper nearly made a bit of a haulix of it, but he managed to punch it away. We then had another attack with another Hughes cross, and Eddie Nketiah puts a diving header wide. And the time's ebbing away at this point, and we're beginning to think, actually, this might not be happening for us tonight, which is not
we'll
ideal.
Take a draw, he's saying.
Exactly. At that point, you're just like, yeah, just one goal, please. We then had, say, another chance. Another chance was actually down to them. So Hughes, I think, and Nketiah were hassling the Larnaca defender down by the corner flag, and he's tried to hook it clear, and he's ended up producing a wonderful cross for us, in fact. And it's gone to the back post, and Mateta's headed it back, and then Nketiah is coming in from the far post as he was, and he's just got make a contact on the ball really, but he's totally fluffed his line, missed the ball completely, and it really was a bad miss from that, and that's when you sort of think it's not going to be our night. And as I say, it was a bad one, and it got to that point. It was huff and puff. Now we're getting to the last 10 minutes. The game was getting stop-start. As we said earlier, the Larnaca keeper and the players were going down and time wasting every opportunity. As you say, Nick, if you're a Larnaca at Crystal Palace and you're 1-0 up, you're going to do that. I don't necessarily have a problem with it as such. Where I do have a problem with it is with the referee. I don't mind the players doing it. It's the ref's job to control it. But the referee, really, it's no good warning players. If you're going to warn players 3-4 times and then don't book them, it's pointless. If you don't warn them, fine, they can do it. But he was warning that goalkeeper plenty of times, and he didn't get a card, and none of them didn't. I don't think they got a single booking all night, and that I think is where it's a bit wrong. Correct.
And there was also an incident where one of their players went down. He was down in the second half. He was down for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, they came on the pitch, gave him emergency first aid, called the paramedics on. Then called the coroner's officer in. Okay, miraculously he then jumped off and didn't have to leave the pitch. Why did he not leave the pitch?
Didn't our player get booked? Was that Mateta that fouled him? So Mateta fouled him and got a yellow card. And my understanding is that if there's a caution, then the player doesn't have to leave the field of play. Is that right, Paul?
Correct. Yeah.
Great knowledge, gentlemen. That's why you're on the show and I ask the stupid questions. Carry on.
No, there were plenty of people around me questioning that as well at the time, but I didn't want to stand up and tell the whole crowd they were wrong. That was just self-preservation there. But yeah, so as I say, so they're wasting time. They're trying to play the game out, and they did well. We didn't really make any more. The last chance in the last minute, Mark Gay crossed the ball speculatively into the box. Uche's tried to volley it in, but he's not made any contact, which has probably helped because the ball's gone through the thing and again just went past the far post. So ref blows the whistle, and yeah, it's a very disappointing night. As I say, it's a smash and grab from Larnaca, and the result is purely down to our own, as we've done in the last week, not taking chances. And when you say that, as I say, I think the Mateta shot that was saved is, I think, the only shot on target out of 15. We had 44 in their box. They had 6 in ours. So, as Ian said, the stats are scarily in our favour. But as we say, if you don't take your chance, you don't win the raffle.
Yeah, I've got to say, I like this comment. Where was it gone? Oh, yeah, Phillips von David. I saw you in the distance yesterday, mate, but didn't say hello. Paul Bristow, don't panic, Pike. That's got to be the next one. Don't panic, Pike. Yeah, we lost the game, but let's not worry too much about it.
Oh, you're on mute,
You're on
Nick.
mute, Nick.
Yeah, perhaps you should have done it when you just blew your bugle, Tim. So you're over, Tim. I presume you were at the game, were you?
Yes. Yeah.
First of all, how bloody cold was it? But should we have got something from that game?
No, we weren't good enough. I mean, you say we should, but to get that many shots or attempts from within the penalty box and to only get one on target, I think we got what we deserved from that game. We just weren't clinical enough.
And Ian, have we reverted with the amount of chances that Mateta has missed recently? Are we reverting back to the Mateta pre the strong mid-season he had last year and an end of last season he had last year?
Yeah, I don't think so. He scored a hat-trick the game before. So, I don't think so. I think the Larnaca game was a blip. I mean, if we lose other games in the conference and we go out, then you can clip that and come back to me. But I think it was a blip and I think we'll be fine.
Nigel, clip that, please. Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. You can say it's a blip, but I mean, Mateta's missed the most big chances in the league this season. And it's not even like the keepers are saving them. I think someone put on Twitter a picture of 4 stills from earlier in games in this season where he's actually missed the target from like 8 yards and real sitters. But it's not, as I say, and in terms of a blip, I think we've underperformed our XG in 13 of our 14 games this season. So it's becoming a big problem. We're not taking these chances. And like I said earlier, it takes the pressure off the team and it gets it will put pressure on others and we'll get results better. So yeah, while it's hopefully, I know Oliver alluded to this recently, that once we get into the groove of things, the chances will go in more. But this is the end of one thing I had a problem with issue with yesterday, and particularly in the Larnaca game. I think sometimes it's all very well having this system where we play it around the back and a slow pass, build up, whatever, and it works and it's great. So you can't complain too much. But I think when you're losing the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes of games, there needs to be a little bit more urgency and a little bit more throwing a kitchen sink at a team. I mean, same with yesterday. I mean, you've seen a number of goals this weekend that have been deflected and stuff. If you don't shoot, you don't score. You say if you have a shot, shoot on sight. Don't quote Max Lacroix's shot at the end of yesterday. That's another one. But the more you give yourself more chance to score, you can get corners from it, you can get deflections from it. But I just think sometimes with the last 10 minutes, I mean, I thought yesterday he brought players on with a minute to go. It's silly, but I just think maybe we could take more chances if we had a few more shots when we were losing.
Good. Ian, I'm coming to you. Tim, I'm coming to you next because I've got a question for you. Ian.
Yeah, so just coming back to Mateta then and his stats. So in the last 4 games, he's had 9 shots on target, okay? And his minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty this is as well, is 73 minutes per expected goal involvement. So, it's that means either an assist or a goal. So, those figures are really good. And the next best for Palace is Ismail Assar, 224 minutes per expected goal involvement. So, the stats are still there for Mateta. And I think if you keep creating the chances from him, he will get the goals.
Paul?
Yeah, I get that. I'm not disagreeing with the stats sound good, but the word there is expected. If he, as I say, that means he should have scored them and he hasn't. But as I say, you can't argue with him while he scored a hat-trick last week and he's our top scorer and he's got 5 league goals in 9 games, which is a great return. It's unfortunate that, as I say, he could have had a few more.
Tim, I've got a question for you. How are we adapting to the Thursday Sunday thing? Was our performance yesterday under what it should have been? Should we have done better? And especially with the Larnaca game, how do we evolve to get used to this Thursday Sunday thing, mate?
Firstly, before I answer that, I did want to bring up a point that was being made about Eze going and is that affecting Mateta. Initially, I thought maybe, but if you look at it, I don't think so because I think he's getting just as many chances in games
Correct.
as he was getting when Eze was playing. He's just
Correct.
not putting them away. So, I don't think that is an issue. I think what it does show is the lack of quality and depth in our squad, not necessarily the number of players, but the quality and the confidence that Glasner obviously doesn't have in them to actually put them into these games to help us with these extra games by being able to make more changes. He obviously feels he can't make any more changes from match to match. I think that's what it's showing us is that Well, we got the players maybe, but the quality, as far as he's concerned, isn't there to be able to risk putting him into some of these big games like yesterday.
I think the interesting stat would be if somebody, Paul Bristow, you're listening, XG Palace's XG pre the sale of Eze and the XG post sale of Eze would probably wipe those naysayers out the water, because as Paul's already alluded to, or he had alluded to, our XG at the moment was one of the top, if not best, in Europe at one point last week. Paul.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the chat, I mean, Phillips on Davis made a point about Eze used to score. I mean, and it is a fair point that I mean, Mateta probably does actually feel a lot of pressure, a lot more than normal, because other than him and Sarr, you look at the goal contributions from our midfield. Walton's not scored for us. Kamada's not scored a league goal for us. Decore, I don't think, scored a league goal for us. Hughes, I think, has got 2 in about 5 years. So we don't get goals from other areas of the pitch. So he probably, the weight is on him. And when he doesn't, we suffer a bit more. Obviously, Sarr weighs in. And obviously, Eze did last year. Pino's not looking like a goal scorer at the moment. But it would be handy to again, maybe it's because they don't take enough shots, but it would be good to take the pressure off him a bit and have some goals from elsewhere.
As David just said, we need our midfielders to start scoring. We have JP.
You got Munoz as well. Munoz chips in, doesn't he? Munoz, he's playing like a right winger a lot of the time, and he's getting in the box a lot, and he's assisting and scoring. He scored 2, hasn't he, this season? And Mark Gay's chipped in as well, So, these players, we are sharing the goals around a little bit, I think. Not as much as some other sides, maybe.
Okay, Tim, over to you. And then once you've made your point, mate, you can make a start on the old Arsenal game.
Yeah, I just was going to say another player that hasn't been mentioned, dipping form, is Sarr. I think there's been a few games now where he just simply hasn't performed to what.
Actually, I'm going to hold you, Tim. I'm going to hold you on that point. I want to come back to that after you covered the Arsenal game. It's not just Sarr. There's 1 or 2 others that I want to pick up on. Can we hold that thought? Do us a favour. Start the Arsenal game if you please, Scott. I am going to come back to that though.
Cool. I'll apologise now because I won't do it to the same style that Paul does it, the old expert over there. So have you got the starting 11? Yeah, there you go. So Henderson, Munoz, Richards, Gahey, Mitchell, Wharton, Kamada, Sarr, Pino and Mateta. Now, for me, straight away, I don't think Kamada should have started that game. I think Hughes should have, if he was fit, as far as I know, he's not injured. But Kamada just is not defensively as good as Hughes. And I think if we'd had Hughes playing, giving Wharton more license to go forward, it might have helped. But I don't know what you guys think on that.
I hadn't thought about it, to be honest with you. Not a bad shout.
I think the thing is that's our first 11. If we were playing a cup final tomorrow, that's the team he would play. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, Kamada's he's not done anything to warrant not playing. I had some issues with his performance yesterday, which I'll probably come into. But yeah, no, that would be Oliver Glasnow's first 11, so I wasn't surprised that was the team.
My thought process on that, I reckon Kamada so far, bearing in mind where he's come from last season, he's probably been one of our top 3 or 4 players of the season so far. Personal opinion. Tim.
Interesting, yeah, to have people see different things, I guess. But yeah, so the game started, and again, as you would expect, I think we have to remember or take into account Arsenal flying this year. They're playing, considering the players they've got out injured, they're the best team in the country at the moment. So you'd have to say going into the game, even though we have been playing well, it was always going to be an uphill task. But the game started, and as we all expected, Arsenal were pretty strong. They were having a good go, but it didn't take too long for us, I think, to get back into it. And we started playing our game, and we looked really comfortable, I think, that first half. And we were getting breaks. Where I was a bit disappointed was the quality of crossing or the quality of passing and the decision making, I think, cost us a bit yesterday. There were a number of chances where it was a simple ball, but it was overhit. It was gone out, and kind of you lose impetus. When that happens, you lose impetus going forward. But yeah, going forward, we were looking pretty comfortable. They didn't really cause us any issues until the 39th minute, where Pino, for some reason, decides it was a really good idea in a dangerous area to commit a really stupid foul. So from the free kick, we all know what Arsenal are like with set pieces at the moment this season. They played the ball in, and then I think the second mistake was we left Eze unmarked on the edge of the box, and we were slow to react, and it was a quality finish. You can't knock it. If a goal's going to win a game, that deserves to win it. A great finish. I think.
Tim, can I just jump in there, boys?
Yeah.
What do you think about the Pino foul on the edge of the area? Is he culpable there?
Yeah. It should never have made the challenge. Every Palace player was behind the ball, including Mateta. Didn't have to make the challenge.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought, Paul.
Yeah, it was a silly foul, and especially silly against Arsenal. I remember a few years ago there was an incident when a team was playing Stoke. They were about to clear the ball for a corner, for a throw-on, and then they decided actually I'm going to give them a corner instead because Stoke were so lethal with their throw-ons, and that's totally against football logic. And when you're playing Arsenal, it's key don't give away set pieces.
Yeah,
that was one of our strengths. I was about to say we didn't concede a corner yesterday until it was midway through the second half, I believe it was, by the time they got their first corner, because we know what their threats are on set pieces. And then we give away a stupid, unnecessary free kick on the edge of the area. Tim, sorry, mate, I interrupted you.
That's all right, no worries. And I just want to take a little bit of a break here, and I want to talk about Pino. And the reason being is a colleague of mine who's, he's Brazilian, but lives in Barcelona and works for us and comes over a couple of times. Thomas is actually on. He is now a Spanish Palace fan. He has a shirt, and we're always talking about Palace, but he has a lot to do with football in Spain. And he was talking to me today about Pino, and he was saying that this is classic Pino, where over in Spain in La Liga he had 4 or 5 really good games, but then he dropped right off for like quite a few games where he just didn't perform. He wasn't consistent. He basically does what he does for us, and then he comes back again. So I'm interested to know. I'm a bit disappointed because I don't think he's pushed on. When the first couple of games, you thought, yeah, you can see he's going to be a great player, but he hasn't. I don't feel it's only early, I know, but I don't see anything in him that makes me think at the moment he is going to progress. He is going to get better because he's doing the same thing and making the same mistakes in each game. So I'm interested to know what you guys think.
I personally think that if he'd have taken one of his early chances as in his Palace career, he had 2 or 3 gilt chances in his first couple of games. Had he managed to hit the ground running and actually score earlier on, his confidence levels would have been up. I think there's 2 things here, Tim. I think, he should. If he'd taken one of his chances, his confidence levels would have increased. But I also think, and I'm coming on to it, same thing about your question about Sarr. Okay, I think a little bit of fatigue is starting. He's not exactly a big frame guy. Okay, he's slight bloke. Okay, and I honestly believe fatigue is starting to get to 1 or 2 of these players. Your thoughts, boys?
I just think it'll take time to get up to Premier League speed, like Kamada did and like Mateta did. Just because he started brightly at Villa Park, that cameo off the bench was brilliant for 20 minutes. And then we saw him play really well in the next game. But look, he's going to take time. So, cut him some slack. He's still a young guy. He plays internationally for Spain, so he's got to be a decent footballer. And I think, Tim, all players will have a couple of good games and a couple of bad games. So I'm interested in what your Spanish chap says, but I don't think it's necessarily what's the right expression? Groundbreaking. What he's sharing with us, we can see it with our own eyes. That he's had a bad game. He didn't play terribly. He got hooked, of course, yesterday. But look, he shouldn't have made the challenge. But talk about come back to the goal and the situation in the game. Eze still had a lot to do, didn't he? And someone said in the chat, it's almost written in the stars, wasn't it? Of course he was. Yeah, he's going to score, wasn't he? And I love the way he didn't celebrate. I just, utmost respect to the guy, didn't celebrate the goal particularly. Paul Gibbs to speak.
Yeah, I'm similar to Pino. He's excuse me. He's a young lad. He's come to a new country. It's a faster game. Yesterday the foul was more mental fatigue rather than physical fatigue, and I think that's why would have like not play him every week. Take him out a couple of times and bring him back. I know he takes.
I agree.
But, yeah, I think it was not necessarily physical stuff, but things like that. You make silly fouls when you're tired in the mind and stuff like that. So possibly it'd be better to. I mean, yesterday he was probably the one change I think I would have made. I probably would have played Eddie instead of him because, as we saw with Eze, players are up for it against their old club. And he might have gone a bit extra. But I understand why I didn't. But yeah, I've got no doubts about Pino. But yeah, it's like a lot of the players that we say at the moment. I think there's a factor of overplaying them.
Ian, is there anything in the chat before I pass back to Tim to carry on with the game? Is there anything in the chat we need to be discussing?
Well, I think most people are saying that they wouldn't blame Pino. Fouls happen in games, so I think most people are agreeing with what we're saying there.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Yeah, so basically they scored, and I suppose there was a fleeting moment of, oh no, with the way they're playing in general, they've scored one, is this going to push on? But we had out till half time, went in 1-0 down. Second half started, no changes at that time. And again, as I think we all expected, Arsenal again pushing on, looking for more goals. Great save, maybe slightly fortunate, but Henderson still made a great save. There's one, I forget who had the shot, but it was a great save which kept it.
Rice,
yeah, a great save that kept us in, and they had a couple of long balls that we managed to keep out. But you need to do that in those kind of games. And then after about probably 15, 20 minutes the second half, we started coming back into it. He made a change. He brought on it was Eddie, wasn't it, on 59 minutes? He brought on Eddie for Pino. And again, like you said, whether it's playing against a former side, but you've got to say, whenever Eddie has come on this season, he's tried to make things happen. He's looked energetic. He looks up for it. And I think that's really good to see. But we kind of huffed and puffed. There was one cross from Munoz that Eddie was unlucky. He almost got there in front of the keeper, but he didn't quite make it. But yeah, then again, like substitutions made on 89, 90 minutes, I really couldn't understand the logic. I didn't hear any comments after the game as to an explanation of why he did that. But that confused me slightly. And that was basically it. Figured out we lost 1-0. But I know you want to discuss Sarr a bit later, Nick, because I think we should talk about him for a bit. But yeah, negatives for me. The negatives were, as I said, I would have started with Hughes. There was some poor passing, decision making, but I still think we should be positive. I mean, look how well Munoz and Mitchell kept the supposedly best wingers in the country quiet. I mean, really and truly, they didn't do very much, and that's because of the way those two were playing. So I thought that was really positive. Again, considering how well Arsenal playing, I thought we did really well to keep them. I think, looking at some of the stats, I think it was literally they had 3 shots on target the whole game. Now, for Arsenal, we're only allowed to have 3 shots on target. That's really good. I think where, again, I'm slightly disappointed is if you look at the stats for crosses completed, we had 3 out of 10, which, in a 90-minute game, that for me, again, I think it's not the first time where we've suffered in games where the crossing hasn't been the best. And again, you look at JP, mate, did he get enough supply yesterday? I don't know what you guys think.
We didn't get as many opportunities as he usually gets, but that shouldn't surprise anyone, given how good the Arsenal defence are.
Exactly.
We said earlier, they've only conceded 3 goals all season. They're now for a clean sheet most weeks. So, I don't think we should be surprised by what happened. And so, I think our stats are reasonably credible. They had 25 touches inside the opposition box. We had 15. It looked to me pretty much like a top of the table clash. I know I've got red and blue tinted specs on a lot of the time when I'm watching Palace. But look, we gave it a go. We went toe to toe with them. Yeah, they got their goal. We haven't really quite got back in it, but it was, as I think Glasner said, didn't he? Just before I came here, we played this team at the Emirates 2 years ago, and we lost 5-0.
Exactly.
I remember well. Yeah. So, we've come a long way, and we did well yesterday. We're unlucky. Paul and I were disagreeing walking out because I said we're unlucky, and he's shaking his head saying, no, we weren't. We were rubbish. So,
No, I didn't say we were rubbish. No, I didn't say we were rubbish. I just thought I thought we almost let the game go to it. We should last 15 minutes. We should have brought the players on there, not in the last minute, like Tim said.
Exactly.
He obviously doesn't trust. He obviously doesn't trust it. So I just thought they were there for the taking. For the last 15 minutes, they didn't have Saliba on. They didn't have Calafiori on. I think Rice was about to go off. He was hobbling around. So it wasn't their strongest defence. And I just thought we could have gone at them a bit more. That's what was my disappointment.
Okay, you done there, Tim?
Yeah, all done.
All right, so where do we go from here then, boys? Okay, where do we go from there? Nigel, could you give us the upcoming fixture list, mate, please? Because obviously we've got a very important game up at Anfield on Wednesday night. It's going to be on Sky Sports in the League Cup. We can see the rest of the games. We'll do that in a minute. Nigel, just take that down a second. What changes, gentlemen, do we make, if any, for Wednesday night? Ian.
Oh, thanks for coming to me first. I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm really giving this a huge amount of thought today, but I think he needs to make a few changes. Why not play the Argentinian goalkeeper? He's an international goalkeeper. He should be good enough to play in goal in any game, but you've got to give him minutes. I think he might rest another centre back, whether it's Richards again. Is he going to risk Camvo again? I'm not sure. Does he play Sosa instead of Mitchell? Because Sosa didn't make the game the other day in the European game. Or does he, as I said earlier, or does he play Devene at left wing back? Because he can play there. And does he get some minutes? So I think that, and Nketiah, maybe he needs to start as well instead of Pino or something like that. So I think there will be one or two changes. Quite what they are, I don't know, and I'm just thankful that I don't have to make those decisions about Wednesday night.
He says, Paulie says Nketiah for Pino. Would it not be worthwhile resting Mateta and playing Nketiah instead?
It's a tough one. I said the other week I would have played the strong team last week and rest some for the Liverpool game. I'm sort of a slightly different belief now. I think Liverpool will rest players, and the way they're playing, they'll probably want to freshen it up. As he is, Benitez played against Millwall. I think he'll be the League Cup keeper until the latter stages if we get there. Sosa may well play instead of Mitchell. I think Liverpool might be there for the taking on Wednesday in the respect that they're low in confidence and that, as I say, I think they'll make a number of changes. So it could be a winnable game. But I think we've got to look at a longer picture as well. We've got a lot of games coming up. So, as we said, I think Sarr, they could all benefit with the rest. That's the problem. But as we've said earlier, I'm not sure he trusts the people yet to replace them. So I think Nketiah should probably play behind Mateta. It's a case of, as I say, playing them for the hour, play a top team for an hour and then swap them around and see what happens. But you can't really chop Mateta in terms of Eddie's not the same profile striker. It changes the whole way you play the game. And if the guys behind him are struggling a bit, which they are, then it's as Ian says, I wouldn't want to make this choice. It's going to be a tough call, but
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, really, aren't you? Which either way you look at it. But it's interesting, isn't it? It'll be the fourth time we played them since we won the FA Cup in May, which is a bizarre stat, isn't it? Really.
Really weird. Tim, anything standing out on the changes you've made for Wednesday night?
I'd definitely put Sosa on for Mitchell, give Mitchell a break. I'd definitely start Eddie over Pino. I think he will play Mateta, if anything, to get his confidence, hopefully getting some chances, see if he can put the ball in the net. And I'd probably start with Devene in the middle. I'm not sure if Wharton's up to 100% fitness yet. I'm not sure, but I definitely give him, because he's never let us down. Devene, whenever he's played in whatever position, he's never let us down. So I think maybe he should make some changes. I think the Brentford game on Saturday is more important than the game against Liverpool.
We'll come on to the Brentford game in a second. Ian, you wanted to make a point about our skipper.
Did I?
Yeah.
We heard rehearsed.
Oh no, sorry, it's Paul. Paul wanted to make a point about our skipper.
Just before you let Devene on his, we've got to have him on the pitch at the end of the game if we're level, right? Okay, because he can take a penalty. Let me tell you, that boy can take a penalty. So if we're level at 90 minutes, he needs to be on the pitch. Sorry,
Paul,
I want to be
Paul,
about
forgive me, mate. It was you that wanted to make
Yeah.
Mark,
No, I mean it's probably a good time to talk about it in the view of we're playing Liverpool tomorrow, and obviously we all know what happened on transfer deadline day with him. I was quite obviously it came out the other week that he's come out and told Palace that he's not going to sign a new contract, and I think that's quite good of him, to be honest. You saw last year people like Trent Alexander-Arnold who drags it on, so the club don't know whether he's staying or not. You don't know whether you've got to replace him. You don't know whether you're going to lose him for free. We had it a few years ago. Wilf, he wouldn't tell us whether he was leaving or not. So you can't plan for a replacement. You can't budget for anything. And I think as no one wants to lose Mark Gay. I'd love him to stay for the season for longer, but he's clearly not. But I think the fact that he's come out, it's good for the club in that now we know where we stand, and we know. If you want money for him, you've got to sell him in January. And in that case, then we know we've got to buy a replacement in January, or we know keep him to the end of the season and sacrifice the money. But I think he's done the decent thing there. He's given us all plenty of notice, and now it's all on us to decide how and when we replace him. So whether we sell him to Liverpool or whoever in January, but I think that's going to be the way it will be, because as I say, I don't think you can afford to lose him for nothing. But who knows? But at least I just wanted to make that point. I think it's pretty good of him he could have dragged it out and made it am I, will I, won't I, and the club doesn't know what's happening. But I think fair play to him, and everyone knows where he stands, and I think we need to make plans accordingly.
And I understand you did the stadium tour this weekend.
I did, yes. Yeah, I was going to shout that out, actually. I did the stadium tour this weekend. Part of my plan was to have my pictures with the trophies, and then within hours of booking it and paying my fee for it, they came out and said you can have your pictures for free. So that was quite ironic. But no, it was. I said to Jane. Jane does the tour, and I said to her that she was talking a lot about Jim Cannon on the tour, and I said that Jim's a very good friend of ours on the show, and he comes on us regularly. I said I would give the tour a shout out. If you haven't done it, it's well worth doing. You get to see some good areas of Selhurst Park you wouldn't normally get to see. And yeah, it was quite an interesting hour and a half, and she was very good, giving you all the sort of facts and stuff. So yeah, if anyone wants a little trip out to Selhurst Park, it's well worth doing.
Good. And Jane, I see you on Twitter an awful lot. If you are watching this, I always see you on there with your lovely husband. I hope you are well on behalf of all of us here at the Red and Blue Review. You are very welcome to join us one day. Okay, so Nigel, the rest of the fixtures, please, mate, if you'd be so kind. Obviously, we've got Liverpool away. Am I going the right way? Yeah, we are. And then a tricky home game against Brentford on Saturday. I have a spare ticket. I may have a spare ticket for that game if anybody's interested. And then I think it's probably one of the most crucial games in our season is actually the game at home to AZ. And if you noticed, the build-up to the Brighton game has gone very much under the radar because there's so many games going around it. We are hoping to have Kieran Maguire and Kevin Day back on from the Price of Football podcast pre that show. We might have to do a standalone podcast for that show because it's actually tying them down to specific dates is proving to be a little bit difficult at this time. Then we're away at Wolves, and then another European tour trip over to Strasbourg for many of us that are on the pod tonight. Tim, are you going to Strasbourg?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Plastic.
Yeah, plastic. And you two old boys, I'm sure you're going to be there. Hopefully, I might even get to meet up with you this time. And I saw Grant and the chaps on the last one, but I didn't see it. But there you go. So, what are your thoughts on the upcoming fixtures? Where do you think Wednesday's going to go, lads? A prediction, please, from the three of you.
I think I'm attending on Wednesday. I should be driving up on Wednesday afternoon to watch the game, which will be fun. But I think we're probably going to lose that game, and hopefully it will rejuvenate us and win on Saturday.
Ian, your thoughts on those two games?
I'm going to go for a creditable draw because we always seem to draw there and win on penalties.
Wow. Okay, Timbo.
2-1 win Palace.
Sorry, 2 what?
2-1 win to Palace.
And Saturday?
1-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a penalty win as well and a draw against Brentford. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. It is exactly 9 o'clock. Have I missed anything, boys? Is there anything else that we needed to cover tonight?
No, I think we'll beat Brentford on Saturday. We've got to win that game. I know they've been playing quite well, but we're the home team. I think we'll win the game.
Okay, and Nigel, upcoming show, please. Our next pod, I believe, is next Sunday. Ian, am I right?
Yeah, next Sunday, Nick. I think you're supposed to be hosting, and I'll be on with you. I think next Sunday. That's
we
the
can't have
plan
everything.
anyway. Yeah.
Yep, there it is. I will be back with you, hosting in the chair next Sunday. I have the B team with me, including Mr. Noble, but never mind. We can't have everything in. But there you go. You know I love you, really, mate. Okay, you're a top bloke, and we can't do this podcast without you. Nigel in the background, thank you very much. Lucy Usher, I know you are podding this evening. That mean nothing to you lot out there, but it goes out all on the socials. And thank you to you for all your comments. I've got at the moment on my screen 75 unopened comments that I haven't even had a chance to read. I will go back and read them all post show. You have my word. I'll see you next Sunday with Ian, and I'm not so sure who else is joining us on the team. Paul, are you on?
I'm not sure.
All right, well, we'll work it out during the week, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Nick Philpott, and this fabulous team, who I can't do it without, I'll have a safe week. If you're going up to Liverpool, have a very safe journey, and we'll see you next weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Cheers,
See ya.
mate.